This is the weekend edition of iFiber One News, where we present some of the top stories from this week and your weekend weather forecast. I'm Bethany Jenks. Stay tuned for the weekend edition of iFiber One News.
From the iFiber One HD studio here in the heart of the Columbia Basin, this is iFiber One News, your number one source for local news, sports headlines, and our very own Weather Center forecast covering the entire Columbia Basin. This is iFiber One News, and it starts now.
One of our top stories for this week was about the Big Bend Community College helicopter training program. Reporter Devin Higgins took a flight with the instructor and has the story.
Heath Davis says he's got the best office in the world. On a clear day at 3,500 feet, it's hard to argue to the contrary. Davis is one of the instructors teaching the next generation of pilots in Big Bend Community College's helicopter training program. Big Bend's had a flight program for airplanes since 1965, but helicopters were added 3 years ago.
Inland Helicopters, who is based out of Spokane over there, got the contract with Big Bend. They wanted to expand and start a professional pilot program here at the college. So that's what brought them here, and that's why we're here. We're contracted by the college to provide all the rotary craft flight training.
First-year flyer John Corbett was in the cockpit with Davis for his first solo exercise, and he said he likes the opportunity to fly something other than fixed-wing aircraft.
I don't know, I find the jobs they do interesting, and I don't know, planes just don't excite me as much as the helicopters do.
Davis said one of the misconceptions pilots often make is that maneuvering a helicopter is similar to an airplane.
Helicopters are inherently unstable. It takes all, limbs, as you saw, both arms, both legs, and, high amount of coordination to fly a helicopter. An airplane is very stable. It wants to fly. You can actually set the power and trim, and it will fly straight and level. Versus a helicopter, you have to be hands-on at all times. So people who come from airplanes and then start flying helicopters have to be retrained all over again, basically. So a lot of people don't understand that, but the basics of navigation and everything else are still there, but a lot of the fundamentals of control of the helicopter have to be retaught.
Students obtain both a private and commercial license during their 2 years in the program and learn to fly in virtually all weather conditions. By the time they graduate, students log about 250 hours in the year and have certification to also be flight instructors themselves. Davis said some of his trainees have gone on to work as pilots in the agricultural and fishing industries as they build experience towards other opportunities. Being an instructor is what keeps him climbing back into the cockpit.
I just love people, when they get introduced to aviation, it's just like they catch that spark, They love flying. It's a whole new freedom when they learn to start flying. And I just love showing people my passion, which is flying. And I get a lot of enjoyment out of that.
In Moses Lake, Devin Higgins for iFiber One News.
In Moses Lake, emergency personnel were honored this week for their life-saving CPR actions, saving the lives of 3 people in the past few months. Reporter Joe Utter has the details.
More than a dozen emergency personnel were honored in Moses Lake Thursday morning for their CPR life-saving efforts. Members of the Moses Lake Fire and Police Departments and MAC Dispatch were on hand to recognize their co-workers' life-saving actions during 3 incidents involving cardiac arrest. In all 3, high-performance CPR was used to save the patients. Assistant Fire Chief Pete Kunjara said it takes everyone to have a successful CPR save.
It takes a lot of different people in a community. Start out with the dispatcher, the family member who know how to do CPR, and police department.
Moses Lake EMTs use a more intense and effective version of CPR called high-performance CPR that requires faster and deeper chest compressions. The department's EMT instructor explains.
Okay, high-performance CPR is a group effort that is a minimum of 6 people on the scene in order to do it efficiently. So you have 2 people that are trading off doing CPR. Nobody does CPR for more than 2 minutes at a time because of the high performance on it. You lose your efficiency after 2 minutes. It's a group thing that is done with high training, is manpower intensive, so it takes, 6 people to do it correctly.
This is Joe Utter for iFiber One News.
And now we take a look at people being sought by law enforcement.
This is Sheriff Tom Jones with the Grant County Sheriff's Office. Each of the people you see here have a warrant for their arrest. If you see any of these people, we ask you do not attempt to detain or apprehend them, but call us at 509-762-1160 or send us an email at crimetips@co.grant.wa.us. If the person is presenting a danger, call 911. With your help, we can bring these people to justice and make our community safer.
We'll be right back after this.
At Moses Lake Community Health Center, we have had the privilege to serve the local communities since 1978.
What I like about working at this clinic more than any other clinic that I've worked at is the patient care. With the patient care team that we've assembled, it allows us to take care of as many facets of the patient and their family's needs.
Please take the opportunity to experience the high-quality care provided at our clinics.
There's something new and exciting happening right now at your nearest Toyota dealer. It's the arrival of the all-new 2014 Corolla, now featuring a new stylish exterior, plus a premium interior loaded with technology, including Toyota's N-Tune multimedia system with navigation. Corolla has definitely evolved. The best part is, right now you could take advantage of special introductory savings. The new 2014 Corolla, available at any of your Inland Empire Toyota dealers today. Toyota, let's go places.
Hi everybody, meteorologist Don Morelli with you here on iFiber Channel 1 News Weather. Your forecast is brought to you by Bud Cleary Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places. And of course we are looking at the rain. It continues not only overnight tonight, but right through the weekend into Monday. So it's going to be what we'll call a half and half 7-day forecast, starting off on the wet side, ending up on the dry side. By the work week, say Monday night, Tuesday, things dry out for the rest of the week. Big thing is the temperatures continue to be very, very nice. In fact, look at this. Record high today, 56, 54 set back in 1967. 42 was a mild start, still above what the normal daytime high will be. And 0.12 of an inch of rain, and it's still filling on up. The water bucket, that is. In fact, the water bucket in Moses Lake, 0.17 of an inch. 57, also a record high back in the same year. 56, the old record. And 42 was, again, the morning mild start. So spring-like conditions pretty much across our area. 50 degrees, still quite mild. Showers in the area, 45-degree dew point. There could be a little fog developing at times. With the brisk breeze, though, be tough to do so. But still, nonetheless, soggy air mass in place. In fact, taking us through the weekend, not much break. We do have a few breaks now and then. But it's generally a steady rain developing Saturday afternoon, Saturday night. And then again, by Sunday night, we'll see some more precipitation coming in from the southwest for our Monday. So you get the picture that this river of water continues. And once it all moves off towards the east, soil, of course, will be very moist. And as we cool off at night, some morning fog for the midweek time frame next week will probably be back in the area. Flooding rain's a good possibility as well. So watch the roadways, the ponding in the roadways, traveling west through the Cascades, the melting snow combining in the rivers around the area. So again, flash flood watches for much of the western third of the state. And we are looking at a little bit of sun at times, but generally we're looking for temperatures to still be quite mild. Look at these 40s and 50s across the area, but again, it's going to be a soggy weekend nonetheless, not the best of weekends. But again, we do have brighter skies on the horizon. You can see the showery weather continues into our Monday, tapering off Monday night. Notice the temperatures with some clearing skies, mid to high 30s. For the morning hours, but again, every morning, Tuesday, Wednesday morning, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, every morning we'll have a chance for some of that rather dense fog, but hopefully it burns off quick enough to give us some very nice spring-like afternoons to take us through the rest of the work week next week. But again, have a great weekend, everybody. Keep the umbrella handy, the rain gear, and watch the ponding on the roadways.
What better way to start the new year than in a new Toyota? We're making it easier than ever with 3 ways to save. Your choice of financing as low as 0%, up to $2,500 in customer cash back, or low payment leases on your favorite Toyota model, like RAV4, now just $199 per month. Just pick your favorite Toyota, the best savings options for you, and drive away. It's that easy, so start your year right. For full details, see any of your Inland Empire Toyota dealers today. Toyota, let's go places.
Just when I thought the blizzard couldn't get any better, DQ put the blizzard inside a waffle cone. This is mind-blowing. So when DQ asked me how I would tell the world, I said... Sounds better in Italian.
Pretty impressive, Liz. Any blizzard, like confetti cake, now in a fresh-baked waffle cone. This is fan food, not fast food.
Riley Jemet has been heating up for the Lady Vikings. She's been an instrumental cog in the team's 3-game win streak. Jemet led Big Bend with 20 points and 14 rebounds in a win over Northwest Indian College Tuesday. Here's Sean Wells with an in-depth look at the talented sophomore.
Riley Jemet is a shooter for the Lady Vikes. The 5'9" sophomore out of Southern Idaho thinks her team has great potential.
I think we have a lot of great potential. I expect us to, do well shooting-wise. Coach Wilkes has had us work a lot on, shooting and, working as a team. So I expect great things out of us, and as long as we play as a team, we'll be successful.
Riley thinks shooting is the best part of her game.
So I would have to say it would be my shooting. In high school, I wasn't a very good shooter, but I came here and I started working with Coach Wilkes, and I had a really great shooting percentage last year. I'm always working on it. There's always things I can improve on in all parts of my game, but I would definitely say that shooting is probably my strong point this year.
The Lady Vikes have great team chemistry. Riley thinks that bodes well come conference play.
And Coach Wilkes has really made that a focus this year, is to be a team, focus on the team. We don't talk bad about each other. If we have a situation, we go and talk to each other about it, or a concern, and we're just all really good friends, and that makes being a team, easy.
Big Bend hosts Yakima Valley Saturday afternoon. Be sure and set your dial on Channel 1 for the live action. The Lady Vikings tip it off at 2. The Running Vikes play at 4. Ephrata boys basketball moved up to the number 3 spot in the just-released 2A Associated Press poll. The Tigers are sporting an 8-game win streak and have a firm grasp on first place with a 14-1 record in the CWAC standings. Ephrata's only loss of the season was to Prosser January the 6th. The Tigers have a 2-game lead over East Valley with 3 games left in the regular season. Ephrata closes out against Prosser, Othello, and East Valley. The Tigers need to take 1 of 3 to claim the conference title. The district tournament gets underway on Valentine's Day at Sunnyside High School. The Moses Lake girls have won 4 of their last 5 games, but dropped to number 8 in the latest AP rankings. The Chiefs at 7-2 were ranked as high as number 4, but dropped down a few pegs after losses to Sunnyside and Wenatchee. Moses Lake, currently in 3rd in the Big 9 standings, matches up with Sunnyside at home tonight. The Chiefs close out the regular season at Eastmont and West Valley. The Moses Lake boys have taken 10 of 11 games to move into 2nd with a 7-2 record. The Chiefs trail 9-0 Davis by 2 games with 3 to go. Quincy and Ephrata heads to Wapato this weekend for the District 5-6 Wrestling Championships. The number 2 ranked Warden Cougars will wrestle in the Central Washington 2B Sub-Regionals at Orrville. We'll be right back after this.
Hello, my name is Cheryl Kono. I am your local Ephrata Farmers Insurance Agent. Here at Cheryl Kono Insurance Agency, our customers always come first. We don't just work here, we live here. Please stop by the office, call, email, or Facebook me for a free auto, home, life, business, or farm and ranch quote today. We are insurance. We are farmers. Come in for a free quote today.
We are farmers. Bum, ba, bum, 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 bum.
Our next story is about the Stop the Violence March that drew hundreds of people in Moses Lake to honor Chris Guerra and other victims of violence. Reporter Jeff Chu has the story.
What do we want? Peace! What do we want? What do we want? Stop the violence!
Moses Lake's Stop the Violence March drew widows, mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, and children of several young men who have been murdered in Grant County street violence. About 300 demonstrators of all ages took part in the march Friday night, calling for peace, justice, and an end to violence in Moses Lake and around the county. The march started near where Christian Guerra was most recently shot to death at the Jack in the Box drive-thru on Pioneer Way. Chanting marchers streamed down Pioneer to Broadway Avenue and back to Moses Lake City Hall, where Mayor Dick Dean urged family members to share their heartfelt messages about loved ones lost. The march drew Guerra's brother, Jabet, and his sister, Sarah, who were mourning the loss of their brother, Chris, who died January 18th.
I don't want to cry, but I just want to thank everybody for coming out here tonight and showing support not only to me, but to everybody that their families is out here and they know how the struggle is. I just want to thank everybody for coming out here. Everybody that knows Chris and knows everybody else, you know, they know what kind of person they were. Yeah. You know, they didn't deserve none of this. No. I just love every one of them.
Sarah Guerra said she was pleased to see the turnout in support of her late brother and others.
This is awesome. Words can't even describe how I feel right now, how many people are here. A lot of people that didn't even know my brother showed up, and that's awesome. Chris was not just my brother, Chris was my best friend. He knew things about me before anybody else did, and he was always there to help me, and I'm just keeping in my heart today that this is all for Chris.
The march Friday night was co-organized and led by Moses Lake resident Raquel de la Garza Munoz. She founded the group Stop Gang Violence in 2011 after her husband Junior was shot to death in Quincy when he confronted a man with a gun near a children's birthday party.
Right now what's going through my mind is just, there's a lot of flashbacks, of course. And it's just a reopening a wound that never truly closes, in a sense.
Margarita Pichardo, widow of Jose Pichardo, and his mother, Graciela, attended the event to stop the violence. Jose Pichardo was shot to death in a drive-by shooting on West Valley Road on Halloween. His car crashed into a house after the shooting. Margarita marched with Pichardo's children, including his youngest.
We're here to support, to stop the violence here in Moses Lake, and I hope that everybody can hear, and I hope a lot of people can support us, because he was a father. We have a little baby too, and and it's not right. So we're here to support everybody who has been murdered, who's been killed, who's been a victim of violence. So we're here to support, and that's what we want. Stop the violence. It's unnecessary, and it hurts so much.
The emotional ripple effect of street violence was heard from others at the event, some who shared sad memories dating back several years. The march was also organized by members of the arts promoting group Studio Over Streets, which includes former gang members. Jeff Ramos, a former gang member who now helps lead Studio Over Streets, called for an end to the violence.
We're losing our kids way too soon over nonsense, over really stupid stuff, and we need to get it to stop.
I'm Jeff Chu for iFiber1 News.
We'll be right back.
Well, one thing I knew from being a patient myself was that a dental office is a scary place to come to. And so we wanted everything possible to make sure that our office is a comfortable place for our patients to visit. The patients that I have, my clients, have made me a part of this community, and we want to give back in every way possible.
Have you been to iFiber1.com? The most up-to-date news in the Columbia Basin is just one click away. With news, sports, and weather, you can stay in the know with what's going on in your community. Read your news on the go by visiting iFiber1.com on your tablet or even your phone. Follow us on Facebook for quick updates and discuss the news with others in our area. Your number one news source in the Columbia Basin is iFiber1.com. Check it out today.
Welcome back. The next story is about Mrs. Grant County, Amy Dana, who was diagnosed with Bell's palsy and is spreading awareness about the disease. Reporter Jeff Chu has the story.
When she was due to have her first child in the year 2000, Amy Dana woke up one morning to an unpleasant surprise.
Half my face was paralyzed. I didn't really know what I was doing, what was happening to me, why my face was doing that. So went to the doctor, went to the hospital, and they said, well, you have Bell's palsy. It's a condition that happens. So the whole right side of my face was drooping. I couldn't close my eye. They put me on prednisone, antivirals, and some eye goop and told me to be optimistic.
That's how Bell's palsy became her platform as Mrs. Grant County. She has a Facebook page called Bell's Palsy Strong to bring awareness to the disease she knows firsthand.
Emotionally, you feel ugly. You don't feel proud of yourself. Your face doesn't move like everybody else's, so you're much more critical, where a lot of people say that they can't tell or they don't notice, but you notice. So ultimately, after the Bell's palsy gets better, your muscles can go into synkinesis, where when I go to smile, the eye shrinks down. That's what normally people have to get used to, or that's the only thing that you could really see, or maybe a difference in the smile and not being able to allow the face to make a perfect symmetrical smile.
Amy, who is turning 36 years old, is married to her husband Josh, who she helps with his business in Moses Lake. Her children are ages 14 and 9. In May, Amy will compete in the Mrs. Washington pageant, standing on her Bell's palsy platform in an effort to make a difference with those who have the disease.
If I can help one Bell's palsy patient feel better about themselves and not let the emotional distress of looking at themselves and trying to smile and not seeing them their old self anymore. And I would love to continue to help people.
I'm Jeff Chu for iFiber1 News.
Rounding out this week's news coverage is a story about goats, about 1,400 of them. A Soap Lake area farmer is using the goats to prepare his hay fields. Reporter Jeff Chu has the story.
About 1,400 nanny goats are discreetly and dependably munching down the frostbitten grass and alfalfa on Dean Benedict's acreage near Soap Lake. Border collies appear to be getting restless to herd the goats into the next plot. It's easily the biggest so-called mob of goats that most people will ever see grazing in Grant County or anywhere else for that matter. Benedict, who has raised grass alfalfa mix hay on his 50 acres for many years off State Route 28 and Road 19 Northwest, explained how the goats came to graze on his land.
The goats are here because last fall I wasn't able to take the cutting off here, which I would have preferred to do. It would have been fourth cutting on my grass alfalfa mix hay. And I could see that the forecast was such to where it just wasn't going to work, so I decided I'm not going to swath that and have it laying in the windrow all winter. And so I was thinking about possibly putting my cows out there, but I didn't really want to have the cow pies out there and also the foot tracks. So I saw that the goats were over on another farmer's field, and so I got a hold of that farmer, and he referred me to Ray Hulls.
Benedict admits the goats are an experiment that if all goes well, he'll consider inviting back. He says there's a good deal of benefit from goats' natural mowing, which he hopes will produce high-quality hay.
The benefit is removal of the foliage, because if I don't get that foliage removed, it'll show up in the first cutting of 2015 crop. Dead leaf. It'll be brown leaf in the hay. And then the other thing is, what's happening here is the foliage is being transferred and processed into fertilizer through the goats.
Ray Holes owns the goats, part of his mob of about 8,000 head of goats he grazes along the west coast from Canada to Mexico. His Kennewick-based range management company is known as Prescriptive Livestock Services. Holes is considered in the ranching industry a leading authority on goat grazing and management practices.
We're a targeted grazing company. That's our business. We started out ranching, a family, and then bought into goats to manage our own weed program, and it worked really well, and people saw it working, so they kept asking us to try this and that, and pretty soon we ended up building into the business of just grazing goats, and that's what we do.
Meat from the goats will eventually end up on the barbecue. Holes said there is a growing demand for goat meat around the country. For now, their job is to naturally weed and groom and fertilize farm fields without the use of chemicals. The nannies and 2 big white Anatoly Kuvas Akbash mix watchdogs are just part of Ray Holes' workforce. Holes explained that the dogs are raised from puppies among the goat groups and live with them night and day.
Yeah, as soon as they're weaned from their mothers, they get put into a area where there's typically smaller goats, kids, or then they just grow up as a goat, and they learn to bond with that.
Holes' goats are used at various grazing sites and as far east as Montana. About 400 of the pregnant nannies are expected to drop their kids in March and will be moved back to Kennewick to kid out, as Holes puts it.
They get handled a little differently, a little more softly, and they manage weed projects mostly. Then we have other groups of goats that are either yearlings or older goats that we use for brush goats and or different type of projects where we have to split them into small groups.
Also watching over and managing the goats are 2 Peruvian goat management specialists who were brought in on special work visas. Holes said after they are done with Benedict's land, the goats will next go to the Royal Slope area to graze. Holes can be contacted at 208-740-9264. I'm Jeff Chu for iFiber One News.
That wraps up our weekend edition. iFiber One News will be back on Monday at 5 p.m. with the latest news from around the Columbia Basin. Thank you for watching.